Bob Costas champing at the bit now after having had his appetite whetted by that long tape package. Bob, there's Felix warming up. What do you think?
Well, Jim, I think we ought to take this opportunity, with the fight only a few minutes away, to look back at some of the build-up and some of the antagonisms that have been displayed over the last few months in anticipation of this fight. Let's go back to a press conference in May in Las Vegas, and they're at one another. At one point, Trinidad called Mayorga a woman. Mayorga referred to Trinidad as a clown. Mayorga has a long history of challenging the manhood of his opponents, trying to get under their skin and get them to brawl with him rather than fight a more tactical fight. Later, it's Mayorga predicting a 9th round KO. That's been the round in the recent past. De La Hoya and Roy Jones Jr. each fell in the 9th recently. Now the side bet, $100,000 being bet on the outcome. From the purse of the loser to the winner, $100,000. Trinidad will make $10 million for this fight. Mayorga is guaranteed $2.5 million. The betting line has Trinidad as a 2.5 to 1 favorite. At the weigh-in, Trinidad scaled 157 3/4 to Mayorga's 158. So after a 2.5-year layoff, Tito Trinidad is just minutes away from stepping into the ring against Ricardo Mayorga. And just a few moments ago, he spoke with Larry Merchant. Here it is.
Tito, how much did you miss the cheers of the crowd when you were away? And what will it mean to you walking out into the Garden again tonight?
Tito, ¿cuánto te hizo falta la adulación del público y cuánto significará eso para ti hoy en día?
Bueno, de verdad que tener el público conmigo aquí, mucha gente, de verdad que eso es bien emocionante y gracias a todo el público por estar aquí conmigo hoy, el día de hoy, en mi regreso.
Having the public behind you, it's great, and I want to thank the public for being here for my return.
Can it be a burden as well as an inspiration to have so many of your countrymen behind you so fervently?
No puede ser un contra teniendo a tantas personas detrás de ti que quieren tanto en vez de una bendición.
No, yo creo que eso es una bendición, es algo que muchos quisieran que el público esté con ellos todo el tiempo.
No, not at all. It's a blessing because everyone would love to have that.
After being away from boxing for so long, how does it feel at this moment knowing that soon you're going to be back in the ring again?
Después de tanto tiempo fuera del ring, ¿cómo se siente sabiendo que entre breves minutos vas a estar otra vez en el ring?
No, me siento bien, me siento tranquilo por todo el trabajo duro que he hecho en el gimnasio y ya mismo me verán en acción.
It feels real good, and I've done a lot of work, and you'll see real soon what it's all about.
Can you take his punch? Can he take your punch?
¿Tú crees que tú puedes aguantar el poderío de él y podrá él aguantar el poderío tuyo?
Él no podrá aguantar mi poderío.
He won't be able to take my power. I'll take his.
Thank you, Tito. Good luck. Jim?
All right, and thank you, Larry. New York City, the focus of the boxing world tonight. A shot of the Chrysler Building in the foreground. Larry Merchant moving across to the other dressing room to speak with Ricardo Mayorga. You will notice right away that Mayorga is now a redhead, or maybe it's something closer to fuchsia. In the past, he has occasionally bleached his hair blonde. He told us yesterday that going as a redhead for this fight is something of a tribute to his mom, who colored her hair in the same fashion. And we'll leave the rest to Larry Merchant. Here he is with Mayorga.
Ricardo, the last time you fought, you were a blonde. Now you were a redhead. Why?
La última vez que peleaste fuiste rubio, ahora es pelirrojo. ¿Por qué?
Tengo que variar mi gusto.
I got to be different. You know, my tastes are different, so I got to be different.
Early in the week, you were saying you would knock him out in the 9th round. Then later I read you said the 5th round and then the 3rd round. What do you say tonight?
Hemos escuchado diferentes versiones que tú vas a noquear en el 9º, en el 5º asalto y ahora el 3er asalto.
No.
¿A qué se debe?
Confusión de que la gente es la que le pone tantas versiones, en verdad. Voy a noquear del 1º al 5º.
He goes, that's different versions that people, you know, play around with my predictions. But my prediction now is that between the 1st and the 5th round, I'm going to knock him out.
Can you take his punch? Can he take your punch?
¿Tú puedes aguantar el golpe de él y también él puede aguantar el golpe tuyo?
Yo puedo aguantar el mío no.
I can take his punch. He can't take mine.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Gracias y mucha suerte.
Jim?
All right, Larry, thanks again. So when Tito Trinidad said farewell to boxing in 2002, it seemed unlikely his sentiments were permanent. After all, Tito was just 29 years old, a decorated welterweight champion, and a hero, a huge hero, in his native Puerto Rico. But he also seemed physically battered and emotionally drained by his loss to middleweight champ Bernard Hopkins, and fought only once more before stepping aside. So it's taken a couple of years, but Trinidad now says he's re-energized and ready to face the top fighters in the world, starting tonight. Felix Trinidad is back, but after 29 months away from the ring, is he the same Tito we remember?
The pride of Puerto Rico stands on top of the boxing world.
Trinidad's unrelenting lead-fisted aggression produced spectacular knockouts of Fernando Vargas and William Joppi.
Sensational performance by the greatest finisher in the sport.
And hard-fought decisions over Pernell Whitaker and Oscar De La Hoya.
De Puerto Rico!
But a devastating loss to Bernard Hopkins led to retirement, and now raises questions about how much of the old Tito remains. The swift, violent answers come tonight, as Trinidad returns not by taking a tune-up fight, but by facing a truly explosive and highly unpredictable former champion.
If you want to see street fighting, you are a Ricardo Mayorga fan.
Smoking slugger Ricardo Mayorga dethroned Vernon Forrest.
And Ricardo Mayorga has done it.
Only to be outboxed by Corey Spinks. But it's Mayorga's behavior out of the ring that's most strange and troubling. He was so overweight for his last fight, it had to be rescheduled in a different weight class. Mayorga nearly started a brawl when tonight's fight was announced. And next week, he's due back in a Nicaraguan court to face rape charges filed last month. They each rank as among the most crowd-pleasing destroyers of the last decade.
Every punch is thrown with knock you into next week conviction.
But what happens when they step into the ring together? And which versions of Felix Trinidad and Ricardo Mayorga will show up tonight? We find out next. And it's time for our main event, Tito Trinidad against Ricardo Mayorga. What does Trinidad bring back to the table after his long layoff? He doesn't start with a tune-up. He comes right out of the box to fight an active former champion in Mayorga, so we should find out very quickly. Trinidad versus Mayorga is being brought to you by HBO Pay-Per-View, the best in pay-per-view entertainment, brought to you by HBO. It's been 873 days since Felix Trinidad fought and beat Hassim Sharifi and then quit boxing. Few expected his return bout would be against an opponent any more difficult than Sharifi, but that's not the Trinidad plan. Instead, he goes right to the top of the Madison Square Garden marquee. The comeback plan starts with Ricardo Mayorga. El Matador is best known for his wins against Andrew Sixheads Lewis and his pair of victories against Vernon Forrest in winning the welterweight title. Tonight is a comeback of sorts for Mayorga as well, having lost that title by decision to Corey Spinks 10 months ago. And once again, we're rejoined by Lennox Lewis. One New York scribe this week described Ricardo Mayorga as a chain-smoking, beer-swilling fiend.
Well, boy, I hope he doesn't keep it up, because that's not good for boxing. It's a wrong message to send. You know, Mayorga's a great boxer. He's a whirlwind of punches. Kind of reminds me of Aaron Pryor's style. He comes at you, he's mentally tough, physically tough. We're in for an exciting fight, and I'm looking forward to it. But Mayorga is definitely a different type of boxer.
Tomorrow is Mayorga's 31st birthday. What kind of odds do you give that he'll have reason to celebrate?
He's got good odds. I mean, it's going to be a great fight, and the one with the best focus is definitely going to win the fight. And I'm sitting back not only as a commentator but a fan as well.
There is definitely an electric atmosphere here at Madison Square Garden. You can probably feel it as you watch at home. We can definitely feel it sitting here. So let's go back down ringside. Roy Jones Jr., Larry Merchant, and Jim Lampley. Lamps.
All right, thank you very much, Bob Costas, and let's get straight to the setup of the fight. Larry Merchant, Ricardo Mayorga has attracted a lot of attention for his home run, go-for-broke style. He's seen by many as a wild swinger. But can this wild and crazy guy outside and inside the ring disrupt the disciplined punching style of Felix Trinidad?
Jim, last week, Roy Jones met a fighter, Glenn Johnson, who seemed made to order for the old Roy Jones, but not for an old Roy Jones. Similarly, Mayorga seems made to order for the old Tito Trinidad, but is he made to order for the new or renewed Felix Trinidad? What we know about this fighter is that he'll take a few puffs of his cigarette, a few swigs of his favorite nourishment, and come out and fight like hell. And the winner will probably be the one who can take the other guy's punch better.
Yeah, because Mayorga certainly doesn't care about style points, and Felix isn't going to have the leeway to worry much about it in this fight. Let's turn to Roy Jones, who surely has his own ideas about whether he's old or not. But Roy, as you look at Felix Trinidad going in against Mayorga, what do you think he most has to worry about? And I'll give you three choices. Does he have to worry about the odd angles from which Mayorga's wild swinging punches come? Does he have to worry about his own ability after 2.5 years off to take Mayorga's punch? Or does he have to worry most about the 40 pounds that he put on during retirement and had to take off to get back into the ring?
I think he has to worry most about the 40 pounds that he put on during retirement. Coming back down in weight, it's been a proven thing that can be very difficult, especially when you're dealing with a guy who can punch like Mayorga. So he doesn't know his body well after gaining that 40 pounds. Now he gets to find out how well he can adapt, how well he adjusts. So tonight we'll find out if that 40 pounds has any bearing on how well he deals with Mayorga's punch.
Styles make fights. If ever there was a night when we expected a great, wildly entertaining slugfest, here we are. Tail of the tape for Felix Trinidad against Ricardo Mayorga. They are both 31 years old. A 2-inch height advantage for Trinidad. Slightly longer armed from the armpit to the end of the fist. The difference is a ½ inch. They both weighed in well under the 160-pound limit, and Mayorga, weighing in at 158, was wearing a sweatsuit, which may well have even had some coins or other weighted objects in the pockets. Tonight, unofficially, on our HBO scale, Mayorga has gone up to 165 pounds. Trinidad, 3 pounds heavier at 168. Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Felix Trinidad Ricardo Mayorga fight is scheduled for 12 rounds using the unified rules of the Association of Boxing Commissions. There is no 3 knockdown rule. The doctor or the referee can stop the fight. In case the cut is caused by an accidental headbutt, we go to the scorecards after 4 rounds have been completed, and you cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the 12th and final round. Jim.
First fight at middleweight for Ricardo Mayorga. You rather suspect that Mayorga, for the right money under the right circumstances, would happily fight at heavyweight. If ever there was a guy who didn't much care about the niceties and technicalities of the sport, this is probably him. Just let me go in there and hit somebody.
He don't care who it is, what weight it is, how long he's been off, how long they're being off. He just here to fight. He don't care. My kind of fighter.
Mayorga plays a confidence game. He puts his cards on the table. I'm here to fight. I'm here to swing away. What about you? What about the difficulty of fighting your fight, Larry, against a guy like this?
He makes your fight his fight, unless you're the kind of fighter that Corey Spinks was. And since Trinidad is not a mover, he will be happy to be there and try to take shots at the openings he's presented.
Not a lot of Nicaraguan fans here in the arena, but certainly many of Trinidad's Puerto Rican fans can appreciate and love the way Mayorga fights.
This is what Mayorga loves. He loves to be out here and be Mr. Bad Guy, the one that everybody hates. This is right down his alley.
He was the black hat in both fights against Vernon Forrest. And we showed you the loss to the boxer Corey Spinks. Spinks is here tonight, but he's sitting in about the 4th row, so he can't bedevil Mayorga with his boxing style anymore. And you hear the chant of the Puerto Rican crowd in Madison Square Garden. Here comes their man. If the question is, did absence make the hearts of boxing fans grow fonder? The answer is a noisily resounding yes.
Jim, I've never known an athlete who admitted as plainly as Tito that he absolutely loved the cheers of the crowd.
Boy Jones, boxing needs stars. There can be no more graphic demonstration than that Tito is a giant star.
Yes, he is. He has a whole country behind him, and that is one of the best things we can have in this sport. Anytime somebody comes to a game with an entire country behind him, it makes it very, very difficult for him to also take a step backwards.
Notable wins. 5 times he knocked Fernando Vargas down, but Vargas is one of several fighters to have knocked Trinidad down. He's tasted the canvas 8 different times in his career, as opposed to Mayorga, who insists to us and whose record apparently shows that he's never been knocked down. Was Trinidad ever knocked out? Yes, TKO by Hopkins in the 12th. Let's go to ring announcer Michael Buffer to move the pageant forward.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we would like everyone to please rise for 3 national anthems. First of all, here to perform the national anthem of Nicaragua, please welcome Jose Jane.
Sangre de hermanos, tu glorioso pendón bicolor ni se tiñe con sangre de hermanos, tu glorioso pendón bicolor. Brilla hermosa la paz en tu cielo, nada empañe tu gloria inmortal, que el trabajo es tu digno laurel y el honor es tu enseña triunfal, es tu enseña triunfal.
At this time, ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the national anthem of Puerto Rico to be performed by international recording star